Good morning, one and all. Welcome to the second lecture of Module 6 for the course ME368 Marketing Management offered to the 6th semester BTech Mechanical Engineering students. I am Mathew Baby, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering at Rajagiri School of Engineering and Technology. And in this lecture, we'll be dealing with three topics. We'll be dealing with media decisions in marketing communication. We'll talk about a concept called integrated marketing communication, and finally we'll discuss the topic sales promotion as a tool for marketing communication. So this will be the last lecture for module 6, and with this lecture we would conclude all the lectures for the course ME368 Marketing Management. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, in marketing communication, in the previous lecture, we have seen the development of the marketing communication content, how to develop, what are the steps taken in the development of marketing communication or message development for marketing communication. Now, once your target audience has been identified and the message has been developed, the marketing team has to decide what is a channel or media that they will use for communicating the message that they developed to their target market. Okay, so the media decision requires you to carry out two prior steps. You have to have an identification of target audience. That means you should have identified the audience to whom you are needed to make the communication. Okay, and you also have to develop the message content, the message structure, the message format, the message source. They all have to be clearly defined, and the message has to be in its final form. So for you to decide what your channel of communication or media for communicating the message is, you have to first of all identify who your target audience is. To whom are you trying to communicate? So the target audience has to be identified and the message has to be developed. Once this is done, the marketing team can decide what will be the channel or media that they use for communication. So there are two broad types for communication channels or medias that are generally available for marketing management. They are a personal communication channel and non-personal communication channels. Now, in this slide, we will have a look at the different personal communication channels. So, personal communication is a kind of communication where two or more people communicate directly with each other. So, this kind of a communication allows for personal addressing as well as feedback. So here in this communication, you can have two or more people communicating, but the communication is direct. By direct, it isn't always face to face. It need not be always face to face. It can be through face to face. It can be via telephone. It can be via mobile. Okay. It can be via text. It can be via mail or even an internet chat. But here the communication is basically direct in nature, and it can be between two or more people. So such a kind of communication which allows for personal addressing and feedback to be taken. Such kinds of communication channels are referred to as personal communication channels. There are three types of personal communication channels that are used. The first kind is called as an expert channel, where experts in the area are used to promote products. An example for an expert channel is a case of medical expert talking to other doctors during a medical conference. So it can be regarding a pharmaceutical drug, it can be regarding a diagnostic technique. So when people who are experts in their respective field, talking like medical experts, when they talk to doctors in a medical conference, the communication is basically direct. Okay, it's face to face. It is through an event or a conference that they are addressing. So it's a direct mode of communication, and there is always a level of personal addressing, and we can always have a feedback, and you are using an expert in that area to promote or communicate information about that particular product. Such a type of personal channel is referred to as an expert channel. The second type of personal channel is called as an advocate. Now, an advocate is basically a person hired by a company who advocates a product or a cause. Okay, and this is basically what we refer to as personal selling. For example, medical representatives. They are people who are hired by medical companies to go and meet doctors and medical establishments and create awareness and get orders for their products, for their pharmaceutical drugs or diagnostic kits or whatever that they might be involved in selling. So here a person is being hired by the company to advocate about its products or its causes. And a very good example is a case of a person selling like a medical representative. So here it need not be an expert in that particular area talking about the product, but rather a person who has been well taught, who has been hired by a company and well informed and taught about the product, going and advocating the positives, the benefits of using that particular product to potential consumers. Such a kind of personal communication channel is called as an advocate channel. And the third kind of personal communication channel is called a social channel, where the message is spread through word of mouth. So word of mouth communication among friends, relatives, colleagues, etc. So such a kind of personal channel is referred to as a social channel. So these are all modes of personal communication where two or more people communicate directly with each other. Okay, and this allows for personal level addressing of potential consumers, and it also allows for a venue to get the feedback. So personal communication channel is generally utilized or used when the products are costly and the frequency of purchase is generally very low. It means they might be purchased in large quantities, but the frequency of purchase is very low. That means once a product is purchased, it is generally used for a very long time before it's replaced by another product. So products which are costly and which are purchased in low frequencies fall under, for those kinds of products you use personal communication channel. For example, consumer durables, okay, home appliances, electronics, etc. They are generally purchased for long-term use. Similarly, products of social value like perfumes, clothing, etc. They also use personal communication channels. The second kind of communication channel is the non-personal communication channel. So non-personal communication channels are mass communication channels with the target group or the target audience. So there is no level of personal interaction that can be obtained in non-personal communication channels. So this includes uh, different medias like print. It can be newspapers, magazines, brochures, flyers, etc. It can be broadcast media like radio, television. It can be used by the use of displays like billboards, signs, posters, and can even be online and e-media like websites, CDs, DVDs, etc. Now, non-personal communication channels also include special events like grand openings, press conferences, etc. So, once you have decided what is a media that you're going to choose, whether you're going to choose non-personal or personal communication channels, then you communicate the message that you have designed to the target audience that you have identified through the media of your choice. And once this marketing communication has been completed, the last step towards marketing communication is measuring the effectiveness of marketing communication. So we have to see whether the communication process has derived or resulted in the desired results. Okay, so the effectiveness is measured on the cognitive, and behavioral levels. we see what is the effect of the marketing communication on the understanding of consumers about products, companies, etc. What is the level of effect that they have on the feeling about products and companies, and what is the level that they have led to action where consumers buy or purchase a particular product. So effectiveness had to be measured at three different levels: at the learning level, at the feeling level, and at the behavioral action level. So we have to see how much the marketing communication has resulted in improving the understanding of the consumers, how much they have influenced the feeling about a particular product for the consumer, and how much they have influenced the buying decision process with the behavioral aspect where they actually make a purchase. So the effectiveness has to be measured at the three levels. Is the marketing communication only giving information there it adds to the cognitive level and improves the learning or understanding about a product, or is a marketing communication leading to positive reinforcement or basically creating a positive feeling about a product, or is a marketing communication effective at leading a consumer to making a purchase? So the effectiveness had to be measured at these three levels. So this is done through tests and surveys. Now these tests and surveys are carried out both before and after communication so as to measure the effectiveness. So here the post communication results, the results of the tests and surveys after communication has to be compared to the pre-communication levels. And some of the common questions that you use for measuring effectiveness of marketing communication include ability to you question whether you provide questions about whether consumers recall and recognize products, where the message was heard and seen. They ask you to rate the experience of using a product and whether the product would be recommended to others. These are some of the common questions that are asked through the surveys before and after the communication process so as to measure its effectiveness. So I repeat once again, some of the common questions that are asked for measuring effectiveness as a part of a survey include recall and recognize products, questions regarding recallment and recognition of products, questions regarding the source of the message, where the message was seen or heard, questions regarding usage experience of the product, and questions regarding whether they would recommend the products to others. So through carrying out surveys before and after communication, we would be able to measure the effectiveness of the marketing communication that we have developed. So as a whole, when you conclude the marketing communication process, it starts off with identifying the target audience first of all, understanding their nature, then creating a message or developing a message which involves creating the message content. So you have to be very clear about the right kind of words to be used, the right kind of appeal, the right idea or theme. Okay, so that leads to the message content. Once you have decided the message content, the next part is all about the message structure, then the message format, the message source, and once you have decided all these things about the message, the next choice or the next decision that you have to make for marketing communications, choose a media. So do you choose a non-personal media for communication or a personal media for communication? And that purely depends upon the coverage that you require, the extent of coverage, market coverage or target audience coverage that you would like to have, and the nature of your products. So these determine the kind of communication channel that you will choose. And finally, once you have chosen your media or communication channel, you carry out the communication process or you deliver the design message through the communication channel to your target audience, and finally you measure its effectiveness by carrying out surveys and tests before and after communication so as to compare the results and measure its effectiveness at three levels: the cognitive, cognitive, and behavioral levels. Now we'll move into a concept called integrated marketing communication. Now during the recent times there has been change in the kind of marketing communication that was practiced. This recent change can be attributed towards two reasons. One is the fragmented nature of markets. Earlier, markets were considered to be a single entity, okay, where we considered all the people to have similar needs. So the company produced a standardized products to meet their entire need, and to communicate messages about these products, mass products that they have developed, they used mass communication media. But this particular strategy is not of relevance right now because the markets now are so fragmented with people of similar needs being placed at different locations across the globe. So geographical fragmentation of markets is one major reason as to why we see a change in the marketing communication strategy adopted by companies. So the fragmentation of markets, it changes the focus from mass to targeted marketing. That has resulted, fragmentation of markets has resulted in the focus of companies changing from mass marketing to targeted marketing, where they develop products and services for individual target markets rather than developing standardized product for the entire market. And this change from mass to targeted marketing was aimed at building closer consumer or customer relations. So this is one of the reasons why we see a recent change in the marketing communication strategy adopted by companies. Another reason is the recent advancements in information technology. Now, with advancements in information technology, more information about consumer needs are made available much more easier. So hence, this aids focused marketing or targeted marketing or segmented marketing approaches that are currently being practiced by companies across the globe. So we have a change from mass marketing communication strategy to targeted or segmented marketing communication strategy, where we develop different kinds of communications or different messages for different segments. So such kind of a marketing communication strategy shift, such a kind of a shift can be attributed towards these two major reasons. That means there is the fragmentation of markets and recent advancements in IT, which made segmented marketing or targeted marketing efforts much more easier. Now we will see, why do we require a concept called integrated marketing communication. Now, while communicating a message about a company and its product portfolio, different communication media and different communication tools, channels and promotion tools might be used. So different communication media that are used during communication of messages developed by the company to be communicated to the target market, they might convey different things, or they might be interpreted in different fashion by consumers. So it is very essential that all the communication media and all the different kinds of communication tools and promotion tools that the company uses, they convey the same content about the product, service, or the company. So this difference in the conveyment of the message by different communication media, this is due to the fact that all the communications arise in a company from different sources. Okay, so there are different departments in a company, each providing different kinds of communication. So this variation in the messages, or this variation in the interpretation of messages by the consumers, is due to the fact that all communications arise from different company sources. For example, advertisements arising from advertising department, the personal selling communication from the sales department, etc. So you might see a case where the mass media advertisements say one thing about a product, a price promotion sends a different signal, a product label creates still another image, the company's sales literature says something else altogether, and the company's website may be out of sync with everything else. So there are different points at which the potential customer can interact with the company to garner information about the company and its products. So if each of these points of communication with the company, if they convey different things about the company and its products, there would be a lot of confusion and chaos in the minds of the consumers, and this won't be helpful in making a sale or helpful for the consumers to make a purchase decision. So in order to solve this particular problem, where different communication media employed by a company, they communicate different things about the company, its products and services. In order to solve this, they developed a concept called integrated marketing communication, or IMC. So IMC deals with the careful integration and coordination of different communication channels to deliver a clear, consistent and compelling message about a company and its products. Okay, so integrated marketing communication is responsible for the integration and coordination of different communication channels to deliver clear, consistent and compelling messages about the organization and its products. And this helps, or integrated marketing communication, IMC, helps create a brand identity. So uniformity in communication can only be ensured by by practicing the concept called integrated marketing communication. Now the concept of IMC, or integrated marketing communication, can be made very clear using the figure that is given over here in this particular slide. So you can see IMC concentrates upon preparing a careful blended mix of different promotional tools. So there might be different communication or promotion tools used by the company. Okay, so the communication tools used might be advertising, they might use sales promotion, personal selling, public relations and publicity, direct marketing, etc. So these are different tools or communication tools that might be employed by a company while communicating with potential consumers. So IMC concentrates at blending, making a careful blended mix of all these different communication tools so as to ensure that all these tools, they communicate the same message. So they deliver consistent, clear and compelling message about the company and their products. So this particular uh, blending or integration of the different communication or promotion tools used by the company so as to deliver consistent, clear and compelling images about the company and develop a brand identity. That particular approach is called as integrated marketing communication. So it tries to integrate various communication tools used by the company so as to ensure consistent, clear and compelling messages about the product and the company, and also to develop a brand identity for themselves. Okay, so all the points of communication that the consumer might have with a company, they should develop or they should communicate the same message about the company and its products. So they should not lead to any confusion. The advertising should not tell anything different from what the sales promotion does. So every point of communication or every tool that is used for communication with potential consumers or consumers for that aspect, they should communicate the same thing about the company and its products. They should not talk or they should not communicate messages which are different from each other. So this commonality or consistency in the message can be delivered only when you have a function called integrated marketing communication, which is responsible for integrating and preparing a careful blended mix of all these communication tools. And that is why in most companies which employ multiple medias or employs multiple tools for marketing communication, they generally have a manager called the marketing communications manager. Okay, he ensures that every possible point of communication with a potential customer or with the customer, they speak the same thing or they deliver the same message. So that is why you have generally a person who occupies a post called marketing communications director or marketing communications manager. So this particular figure, it represents the concept of integrated marketing communications, or what integrated marketing communication does. Now, for implementing IMC, you have to undergo a three-step process. So there are three steps involved in the implementation of integrated marketing communication strategy by a company. It starts off with setting the total promotional budget. So there should be a total budget on the entire communications activity that the company is going to perform over a period of time. So you have to set the total communications promotional budget for the entire mix of different communication tools. So there might be spending on advertising, there might be some spending on sales promotion, there might be some spending on personal selling, etc. So over the entire set of tools that will be employed by the company over a particular period of time, they should set a total promotion budget for that particular set of tools. The second step is to set the promotional mix and strategies. What part of your budget is set aside for what tool? So for example, if a company is using advertising and direct marketing as its only tools for marketing communication, it has to decide that out of the total budget for the marketing communication or the promotion, what part goes to direct marketing and what part goes to advertising. So setting the promotion mix and the strategies and dividing the total budget amongst the different communication tools or promotion tools is referred to as setting the promotion mix and a strategy. And the third step is to integrate all these promotion mixes or all these communication tools so as to ensure that they communicate the same message. So the very first step in IMC implementation, as I told you, is setting the total promotion budget or marketing communication budget. Now, this is one of the most crucial steps because it's a budget that determines what are the kinds of activities that can be performed by marketing communication. So what tools can be employed by the marketing communication to effect communication or effect transfer of message to the consumers. So there are four common methods that are used for setting the total promotional budget. The very first method is called the affordable method. Now, in the affordable method, this is one of the simplest methods that you can employ. And here, the budget is set at a level what the company feels and thinks that they can afford. So as the name suggests, the budget is set to a level that the company finds affordable. So it is a budget that is set after allocating budgets for crucial activities like production, R&D, etc. So you first of all, after the total budget for the company, you allocate the budgets for crucial activities like manufacturing, production, R&D, etc. And whatever is left off, okay, or the remaining, out of the remaining, you can allocate the entire remaining or a part of the remaining to the promotional efforts. So budget is set at the level which they think and feel that they can afford. Such an approach has an advantage that it does not create any promotional wars. It does not create to any kinds of differences in opinions among the company. So it's much more easier amongst the different departments of the company. So it's much more easier for the company's finance department to allocate this particular budget because there is less complaints about the budgeting effort. So once they have allocated budgets for crucial activities like production and R&D, they set a budget level for the promotional activities or the communication efforts, communication tools. Clear? So the major limitation of this particular method is that they assume that the sales are independent of promotional efforts. That means the sales quantity or the sales number is independent of the promotional effort. The second method is called as percentage of sales method, where the total budget will be set as a percentage of the current or forecasted sales of the company. For example, over the next year, we expect rupees 100 crore turnover or 100 crore turnover or 100 crores revenue from sales. If that is the case and we allocate 2% of that budget of that particular turnover as a budget for promotional mix, then for the entire next year we would expect rupees 2 crores to be spent on promotional efforts. Okay, but if the year subsequent or the year after that you have a total revenue of 200 crores, expect total revenue of 200 crores, then the promotional budget will be 2% of 200 crores, which accounts to 4 crores. So this is also a method that is easy for the finance department of a company to practice. Okay, but just like the affordable method, here also they assume that the sales numbers are independent of the promotional efforts made by the company. Okay, so the first method is an affordable method where they set the budget level at what they feel and think that they can afford after allocating budgets for crucial activities. In the percentage of sales method, they set the total promotional budget as a percentage of the current or forecasted sales. The third method is a competitive parity method where you match the competition or the industry average. Okay, this is also an easy method. You look at the sales promotion budgets or the promotional budgets of your competitors or the industry average budgets that are set aside for promotion, and then you try and meet them. Now this kind of a competitive parity method, it is much more easier for an established company to practice this. Okay, whereas if it is a company that is just have started their activities, they won't be able to match the budget set by the industry leaders. So even though competitive parity method is an easy method, the problem is not every company will be able to meet or basically match the budget set by competitors, because they might be in different stages and they might occupy different positions in the target market. The market leader might spend more, whereas the company that is newly formed in and caters to a particular target market, they might find it very difficult to match the competition or the industry average because the total budget itself would be very low. Now the fourth and final method, that is the most ideal method, is called the objective and task method. Now in this particular method, the total promotional budget is calculated by first of all setting the communication objectives. You have to first of all set what the communication objectives are. What are we trying to achieve by communicating messages? Are we trying to develop the awareness? Are we trying to convince customers to make a purchase? So based upon our objectives, we might have to carry out various tasks. Okay, and in carrying out these corresponding tasks, there are costs involved. So the total budget is based upon the objectives, tasks, and the corresponding costs. So to achieve the objectives of marketing communication, you have to devise certain tasks or activities to achieve these objectives, and each of these activities or tasks, they have a corresponding cost. So the entire promotional budget will be the sum total of the costs associated with the activities which are required to be carried out in achieving the stated objectives. So you add up the costs corresponding to the activities which have been planned to achieve the objectives listed out by the company. So this is called as the objective and task method. It's a very reasonable and an ideal method, but the problem is this particular process of setting a promotional budget using an objective and task method is a very difficult method to practice. So these are the four different methods for setting promotional budgets. They are the affordable method, the percentage of sales method, the competitive parity method, and the objective and task method. The next set after setting the promotional budget is setting the promotion mix and its strategies. So this step starts off with setting the promotion mix, and by promotion mix I mean the right blend of communication tools. So a company might use more than one kind of communication tool to communicate with its target. Okay, so these tools can be either advertising, sales, promotional, personal selling, direct marketing, etc. So there might be different communication tools used for communicating with the target, and you have to choose the right blend of these tools. And this is because each of these tools have their own advantages, their own characteristics and costs. Okay, some have certain advantages, some have certain disadvantages, and there are costs associated with each of these tools. So creating the right promotion mix or the right blend of communication tools, it requires understanding of each tool, their characteristic and their costs. So the nature of the tool, that is the characteristic and the cost, should be understood while setting or creating a promotion mix. Some of the common communication tools that form part of the promotion mix are advertising, personal selling, sales promotion, public relations or PR, and direct marketing. Okay, so we would discuss what are the basic characteristics and cost or the nature of each of these individual tools. It is the nature of these communication tools that determine what communication tools are used. Okay, so nature, that is the characteristic of each of these tools along with the cost, will determine what tool would be used to what extent in your communication efforts. So take the case of the first tool called advertising. It's a communication tool which has a very high reach. It has a very wide reach of geographically dispersed targets. So if your target markets are spread across a globe or dispersed across the globe, then to ensure a wide reach you can use advertising. So that is the major advantage. It also has advantages like it conveys the company's size and level of success, because advertisements can generally be afforded by companies only which are of a certain stature or a certain size. So advertising generally conveys a company's size and its level of success. It's a very expressive kind of communication tool, but while having these advantages, there are certain drawbacks as well to this particular tool. It is impersonal in nature. That means there is no personal level communication happening. So the media is a non-personal communication channel that is used over here. Then it's capital intensive and it's basically a one-way communication. So certain types of an example for why it's capital intensive is the case of television advertisements. They are very, very expensive when compared to other advertisements like print advertisements or other broadcast advertisements like radio. Okay, so this particular tool called advertising is very impersonal, very capital intensive, and is basically a one-way form of communication. So these are the drawbacks. Now the second promotion tool that can be used, or communication tool that can be used in the promotion mix, is personal selling. So in personal selling, as the name suggests, you have sales personnel from your company that goes and meets potential or prospective consumers. So that is why this particular kind of tool is a very personal kind of communication process. So you have personal channel of communication, and it's a two-way communication. Now, this particular tool is much more convincing to the consumers than advertising, because the person is directly meeting the prospective consumers and it helps build relations. But the major drawback of personal selling is that it requires long-term commitment. So its results of personal selling, it need not be very immediate. It helps build relations, and this building relation takes time. So personal selling efforts require long-term commitment and is one of the most expensive promotion tools, because you employ people to carry out personal selling on your behalf. So to meet individual consumers or individual prospects directly through your sales personnel, it is a very expensive process. So that is why it is the most expensive, considered to be the most expensive promotional or communication tool that the company has access to. Okay, so this is the major drawback. So it requires long-term commitment and it is the most expensive promotional tool. Now coming to the third communication tool, it's sales promotion. Now this includes activities like providing discounts, offers, lucky draws, etc. So these are activities out of the ordinary routine which are used to stimulate demand over a very short period of time. So the effects of sales promotion activities are generally short-lived. That means once you carry out a sales promotion activity, during that particular implementation sales promotion activity, you might see an increase in the demand or sales for a particular product. But as soon as the sales promotion activities are withdrawn, the demand declines. So that is why we say that sales promotion efforts, their effects are short-lived. And this does not lead to any brand retention or loyalty. So it does not help in creating brand retention or loyalty. Providing a short-term discount does not convince a consumer about the benefits of the product. So brand loyalty and brand retention cannot be generated through sales promotions. It should be used as a tool to stimulate demand when the demand for a particular product is found to be sagging or declining over a particular period of time. Okay. The fourth tool can be used is public relations. So public relations are non-paid communications to targets. And these kinds of communications are more credible and economical because these are non-paid communications. Okay, so we have talked about public relation as a tool, the different public relation tools in detail in module number 5. So I won't be going into public relations in detail. So the major advantage of public relation, as I told you, is it's a non-paid communication process to the target market. So you can specifically approach certain target markets and make this communication possible. And it's much more credible because it's a non-paid communication. So you're not paying any person or you are not paying any kind of media to advertise or communicate a message on your behalf. So this becomes more convincing and credible. At the same time, because it's a non-paid communication process, it's much more economical. So fifth tool that can be used in marketing communication is direct marketing. And here you can target your communication efforts, or you can communicate a particular message to specific targets. So it's a targeted communication effort in direct marketing, and that there is a great chance of customizing the message. For each individual consumer, you can, or each individual sets of consumers, you can customize the message and send them. So there is possibility of customization of message, and it is also a very interactive or a two-way form of communication. So this will help you develop consumer relation. The costs associated with employing direct marketing techniques are comparatively lower, so they can be thought of as economical tools to a certain extent. So some of the common direct marketing tools include mails. It might include activities like, say, electronic mails, telephonic calls, text messages, online marketing, etc. So they are comparatively cheaper when compared to other communication tools like advertising, personal selling, etc. Okay, so these are the these are the natures of the different kinds of communication tools, and it is depending upon the nature, that is a characteristic of each of these tools, their advantages and limitations, along with the cost associated with with the use of each of these tools, that you select the right proportion or the right blend of communication tools required to effect your communication process. So the second step starts off with setting the right blend of communication tools. Some companies might use advertising and sales promotion alone. Some might choose all the 5 tools. Okay, it depends upon what is the budget of the company and what is their objective that they are trying to achieve. So different combinations of communication tools has to be used by different companies depending upon their budget and their communication objectives, while considering the characteristics of these individual communication tools. Now, once you have set the promotion mix, the next step is to develop the promotion mix strategy. Okay, so we'll discuss that in the next slide. The second part or the second step towards implementation of IMC is setting the promotion mix strategies. Now, there are generally 2 basic promotion mix strategies which are used. They can be either the push promotion or the pull promotion. Now, these 2 promotion mix strategies, they differ in their relative emphasis on specific promotion tools. Okay, so the difference between the push and the pull strategy is generally in the relative importance of the different tools, communication tools. The emphasis given to various tools are different in the different strategies. So the push promotion strategy, it's a strategy that involves pushing the product through the distribution channel to the consumer. So as you can see in the very first block diagram for the push promotion, you can see the strategy involves pushing the product towards the final consumers through the channel of distribution. So from the producers, they push the products towards the wholesalers and retailers, and they are responsible for pushing it to the final consumers. And the firm directs its marketing activity. Okay, the producers, their marketing activities are directed towards the channel members, that is the wholesalers and retailers. So the supply chain or the intermediaries involved in the selling process, there it is towards those intermediaries that the producers aim their marketing activities. Some of the common marketing activities or marketing communication tools used by the producers is they include personal selling and trade force or trade promotion. So they carry out these use these marketing communication tools, and using these marketing communication tools, they carry out their marketing activity and they are aimed towards the intermediaries, that's the wholesaler and the retailer, and it is up to these intermediaries, that is wholesalers and retailers, to promote these products to the final consumers. So the resellers, they are also involved in certain kinds of marketing activities, but this time they use tools like personal selling, consumer promotion, advertisements, etc. to communicate the messages to the consumers. So in a push strategy, it involves pushing the product through the distribution channel to the final consumers. The firm, that is a producer, directs its marketing activities towards its channel members. They are the wholesalers and retailers. And for this, they use communication tools like personal selling, trade promotion, etc. And the wholesaler and the retailer or the intermediaries that promote these products to the final consumers. So these kinds of the tools that they generally use for promoting the product to the consumers include personal selling, consumer promotion, and advertisements. So you can see that here in the push strategy, emphasis is given on personal selling, advertisements as well as promotions. Okay, the different kinds of promotions are used by different members in the push promotion channel. Okay, so the producers use the trade force promotion where they give benefits to the traders or the intermediaries involved, and the wholesalers and the retailers, they are the intermediaries, they give consumer promotion. So they are giving benefits to the consumers so that they make a purchase. So this push strategy is generally used by small industrial goods company. Okay. Now coming to the next strategy, that's the next promotion mix strategy, is called as a pull strategy. Now here the producer, that is the manufacturer of the good, basically directs his marketing activity. Okay, the marketing activities include communication, use of communication tools like consumer advertisements, consumer promotion, etc. So their marketing activities, the producers' marketing activities, are targeted at not the intermediaries, but they are targeted at the consumers. So yeah, that's why you can see that producer marketing activities here are targeted at the consumers directly. So this direction of marketing activities towards the consumers, towards the final consumers, induces them to buy the product. Okay, and if the pull strategy is effective, consumers will demand the product from the channel member. They are not usually in direct contact or communication with the producer. So it is rarely that you see consumers buying products from the producers directly. Rather, they generally demand products from the intermediaries or the channel members, which are wholesalers and retailers. And this particular demand that is given, that is posed by the consumers to the intermediaries or the channel members, they in turn will demand the products from the producers. So here, rather than pushing the products towards the final consumers, rather the producer basically targets its marketing activity at the final consumers directly, whereby it induces a demand in the consumer who demand the products from the intermediaries or the channel members, and the channel members in turn will demand the products from the producers. That's why it's called as a pull strategy. So the demand is driven by the consumers, and in push strategy, the producers push the products towards the consumers. So here you can see that in the push strategy and the pull strategy, the marketing communication tools or the promotion mix that is used is quite different. Okay, so most large companies, they generally the pull strategy is generally employed by direct marketing companies, and most large companies, they employ a mix of both the push and pull promotion strategy. They do not purely depend upon one of these promotion mix strategies, but rather they target some of their marketing activities at the channel members and some at the consumers, so that both pushing of the products to the consumers as well as pulling of the products through a demand induced in the consumers also takes place. So both the push and pull promotion is basically used in a combination by large companies. Okay, so in recent years we have seen that the consumer goods companies, they have decreased their proportion of the pull promotion, that is a pull promotion efforts have been decreased, and more effort has been placed upon push promotion. But this is not a very good trend, because push promotion usually involves giving certain margins or benefits to the intermediaries and the consumers, thereby the margins or the profits per unit, that is unit margins earned by the company or the producer, will generally come down. So relying too much on push promotion will result in the company losing its profits, or will result in the company earning lower net profits. So the push promotion, as I told you, if you use a large proportion of push promotion, it will result in lowering of the profits earned by the company. And when you rely too much upon pull promotion, you have to put up a large amount of effort in directly communicating with the consumer. So the marketing activities are directly targeted at the consumers so as to induce a demand and pull the products through the channel. Okay, so this will require a large amount of investment in mass marketing, where you are required to educate the consumers about the products and its benefits. So both of these promotion mix strategies, they have their own drawbacks. So that is why most large companies, they use a combination of both push as well as pull promotion. So push promotion generally preferred by small industrial good companies, and pull promotion is purely used specifically by direct marketing companies. And most large scale companies use a combination of both these. So these are the two promotion mix strategies that are generally employed. So with this, we come to the end of the second step, that is setting the promotion mix and promotion mix strategies. So the next step in this particular process or in implementation of integrated marketing communication is the integration of the promotion mix. Okay, so before we go into that, we'll have a look at the various factors that guide the selection of promotion mix. How do you select the various communication tools that you will be using for your promotion mix? So we'll see the various factors which guide the selection of promotion mix next. Now, there are various factors that guide the selection of communication tools in a promotion mix. The very first factor that influences the selection of communication tools or the prioritization of communication tools in a promotion mix is the nature of the product market. Now, if your market is a consumer market where the major buyers of your products are individual consumers, then in your promotion mix, more focus should be given on advertising, followed by sales promotion, personal selling, and public relations in that particular order. Now, this is because in consumer markets, then there are larger number of buyers and the purchases tend to be much more routine, and here emotions play a very important role in the purchase decision process. That is why you put large amounts of effort in advertising so that you educate a large population about the products and its benefits. Okay, along with that, you can also influence the emotion of the person through advertisements, which basically plays a crucial role in the purchase decision process. So once you're dealing with the consumer markets where individuals buy products, okay, the consumer markets, they are generally larger in terms of the number of consumers that they are there, and the frequency of purchase is generally much more routine. So the purchases are higher frequency and routine, and emotions play a role. Therefore, the focus upon promotion tools used, the primary importance should be given to advertising as a marketing communication tool, followed by sales promotion, personal selling, and public relations. Now, in contrast, when you are dealing with business markets, now in business markets, the consumers of products are businesses or organizations. So, industrial in industrial goods companies, they put most of their fund when you are dealing with industrial good company, most of the promotion mix or the importance or the priority of amongst various communication tools for promotion mix, the first priority should be given to person selling. Okay, followed by sales promotion, advertising, and public relations. Okay, so based upon the nature of the product market, whether we are dealing with consumer markets or business markets, depending upon whether our buyers are individual consumers or organizations, the focus upon the different communication tools, they change. So the first factor that guides selection of communication tools in setting a promotion mix is the nature of the product market. So generally, personal selling is used when product is expensive and risky to purchase, and in markets with fewer and larger sellers. When the sellers are few in number, but they are very large players, and when the product is expensive and risky, you generally give more preference to personal selling. That is why in business markets, you generally focus all your efforts upon personal selling, where your consumers are smaller. They are only a few in number, but they are very, very large consumers. So they buy products in large quantities. But the number of consumers, organizational or business consumers, will be low in number. So for such kinds of cases, as well as where the products are expensive and risky to purchase, okay, such cases also we put our efforts upon using personal selling in the promotion mix rather than giving importance to advertising. Advertising is given importance when you have larger number of consumers to deal with. Okay, each consumer buying smaller quantities, but the number of consumers are generally large, and the purchases are much more routine or frequent in nature. So the first factor is the nature of the product market. The second important factor that guides selection of promotion mix is the buyer readiness stage. So based upon the buyer's awareness about the product or a company and their buyer readiness stage, are they in a stage where they are becoming aware? Are they in a stage where they are gathering information? Are they in a stage where they are developing a liking for the particular product? Or are they in a stage where they have decided to make a purchase? So based upon the level of awareness and the buyer readiness stage, your promotion mix, a selection of promotion mix will vary. So for example, if your consumers are in the stage where they're developing, where they're unaware about the product's existence, so for those kinds of consumers, okay, where they are unaware, you use more advertisements to create awareness. Clear? So for those people, if your buyers are aware, they are collecting information and then they are trying to use it, try it on a small scale basis, then you should give more importance to other kinds of tools. So based upon the awareness of consumers and their readiness stage, your promotion mix, selection of promotion mix will change. The third factor that guides the selection is the product life cycle stage. So for example, in a product life cycle, we come across 4 different stages: the introduction stage, the growth stage, the maturity stage, and the decline stage. So across these 4 different stages of the product life cycle, the kinds of promotion mix tools or the communication tools used will also differ, because each stage has a different objective. The communication objectives in different stages of the product life cycle is different. So hence the corresponding marketing communication tools also, corresponding to the promotion mix, also will change. For example, if the product is in the early stages of its life, where you're introducing the product into the market, that is a stage where consumers are not aware of the existence of the product. So hence, more effort should be placed upon using advertising and publicity to make consumers aware. Whereas in the maturity stage, where the sales are at its peak, at its maximum, the objective here is to basically maintain the sales number or maintain the market share. So here it involves some amount of sales promotion so as to ensure the market share remains constant, and some effort is also put into personal selling. So the promotion mix or the communication tools used in the promotion mix, they change according to the product life cycle stage. So these are 3 factors that guide the selection of different communication tools in the promotion mix. So the first factor is the nature of the product market. Okay, are we dealing with consumer markets or are we dealing with business markets? Based upon that, your priority for different communication tools will be different. The second factor is the buyer awareness and its readiness stage. And the third factor is the product life cycle stage. So the last step in implementing integrated marketing communication is basically integrating the promotion mix. So we'll deal with that in the next slide. Now the third step in the implementation of IMC is the integration of the promotion mix. Now there are several steps taken to ensure that there's a smooth integration of the various promotion mix elements. Now the first step is to analyze trends, both internal and external trends which might affect the company's or organization's ability to do business. So once you've analyzed the trends, you should identify areas where communication can help the most, and based upon the strength and weakness of each tool, you should develop an effective combination of communication tools. The second step is to audit the spending on communication, throughout the organization and reassess the expenditures based upon the effects. We should ensure that all the communication efforts that are made throughout the entire organization are effective. If the spending upon a particular mode of communication at a particular part of the organization is found to be ineffective, then you should think about other means of carrying out message transfer or communication. So you might have to assess the entire organization as a whole and assess or audit the spending upon communication and assess its expenditures. And this expenditure should be based upon effects. If the outcome of spending upon a particular communication system is not as per the requirement, then you should think about replacing that particular communication tool with another one which can deliver the required results at a lower cost. So this particular auditing of spending on communication should be done throughout the organization as a whole, and there should be a single budgeting system for the entire organization. The third step is to identify all points of contact with customers or prospects. So this is to ensure that the communications at all the points of contact are consistent and as per consumer or customer requirements. So the fourth step is to team up in communication planning. That means there should be a joint effort of all communication functions, starting from advertising department, sales department, direct marketing team, online marketing team. They should ensure that the communication planning is a joint effort. So this will ensure that there is a consistency in the message that is transferred across these communication tools. So team up in communication planning. That means there should be a joint effort of all communication functions in planning the communication process. So that's the fourth step. The fifth step is to create compatible themes and tones for all communication media. So all the communication media and tools, they should have a compatible theme and tone. So they should be consistent. So this consistency or compatibility of themes and tones are developed so as to ensure that all communication media deliver a consistent message. The sixth step is to create performance measures which are common to all communication elements or communication tools. And now these performance measures which are common to all communication tools will help us to evaluate the impact of different tools. So if we use different performance measures to assess different communication elements or communication tools, then the results you won't be able to compare the results. That is why we have to create a common performance measure for all communication tools and elements used in the communication process. So this will help us to evaluate the impact of a communication element or a communication tool on a common ground. So that will make it much more easier for us to compare the effects or outcomes of carrying out communication using various communication tools. And the last step that can be taken towards integrating promotion mix is to appoint a manager or director for IMC, Integrated Marketing Communication, and this particular process will help centralize all the planning and all the performance assessment, and all performance assessment and planning can be centralized through this particular person who is in charge of IMC. So appointing a manager or director who's responsible for integrated marketing communication will help us to centralize the planning process, that's a communication planning process, and will help us to create common performance measures which can be used across different communication tools. So once again, repeating the 7 steps involved in integrating the promotion mix. First is to analyze trends, both internal and external trends, which will influence a company's ability to do business. So once you have identified critical trends that will influence a company positively or negatively, you should identify areas where communication can help most, and based upon the strengths and weaknesses of different tools, you should develop an effective combination. The second step is to audit the spending upon communication so as to ensure that the spending on the communication is producing the desired effect. So you should use a single budgeting system for the entire organization. So the spending on communication throughout the entire organization should be audited as a whole. Okay. The third step is to identify all possible contact points with customers or prospects to ensure consistency in the message. The fourth is to team up in communication planning, where there is a joint effort from all communication functions like advertisement, sales, direct marketing, online marketing team, etc., so that they deliver the same or consistent message. The fifth step is to create compatible themes which are compatible for all communication media. So when they communicate a particular message, the message content should be the message content should follow the same theme or the same tone. So for that, you should be able to create a compatible theme and tone for that is applicable for all different kinds of communication tools. Then you should create a common performance measure or a performance assessment tool, that is, it can be applied to different kinds of communication tools. And the last is basically the appointment of a manager or a director who will help in centralizing the planning or help in coordinating the communication planning and help in creating common performance measures which can be used across different communication tools. These are the steps involved in integrating the promotion mix. So with this, we conclude the topic integrated marketing communication. Now we move on to the last topic for discussion in this module, module 6, that is sales promotion. Now we have already discussed this topic before in module number 5. So we'll have a quick recap of this particular topic once again in this particular module. Now, sales promotion is basically a marketing communication tool that is generally aimed at producing a short-term demand or aimed at creating short-term demand for a product. So when you use a process or communication tool called sales promotion, it results in a short-term increase in demand or sales for a product. But this does not develop customer loyalty or brand loyalty. So this is not a tool whose effects are long-term but rather short-term. So sales promotion consists of short-term incentives in addition to the basic benefits of the product and service, so as to encourage purchase or sale of a product or service. So such kinds of short-term incentives which are provided so as to encourage purchase or immediate purchase or sale of a product is called as sales promotion. So these are incentives or activities which are not part of the regular routine. There are activities that are carried out on a regular basis or on a routine basis. Any activity that is not part of a regular routine but aimed at encouraging purchase or sale, immediate sale or purchase of a product or a service, such kinds of incentive systems are referred to as sales promotion. So it seeks to motivate or it aims at motivating a customer to buy now. That means the aim of sales promotion is to make consumers purchase the product as soon as possible without any delay. So buy now, that is the basic objective of sales promotion. So the effect of sales promotion is very, very quick. That means once you start sales promotion, you see the results of sales promotion activities immediately, but these results are basically short-lived. So the basic objectives of sales promotion is to increase short-term sales, to entice or encourage customers to try a new product. When you launch a new product into the market, customers are generally tentative, or they are not uh, basically willing to take up a risk of trying a new product. So to entice customers to try a new product, usually certain launch pricing systems are usually given, where initially the price of the product is kept low so as to encourage customers to try them. So enticing customers to try a new product, that is also sales promotion objective. Then to lure customers away from competitors, to increase the company's market share. And one of the methods you can do is, one of the methods you can adopt is to take customers away from your competitors, and for that you can use sales promotion tools. Then you can also it is also aimed at holding and rewarding loyal customers. So customers who are loyal to a particular brand or a company, to hold those customers as well as to reward loyal customers, you can use sales promotion. So if you are a regular user, you might be given certain benefits. Like if you are a regular buyer of a particular item, you might be given that particular item at a lower price from the company. So that basically helps the company hold that particular customer, and it also is a system for rewarding customers who are loyal and are frequent consumers. So these are the basic objectives of sales promotion: to increase short-term sales, to encourage customers to try a new product, to lure or take away consumers from the competitors, and to hold and reward loyal consumers. So there are different sales promotion techniques that we have discussed in module number 5. We talked about consumer promotion, where consumers are given benefits so that they try new products. Then there are sales force promotion, where you give benefits to the sales force of the company. Then there are trade promotion, where you give benefits to the traders or intermediaries or members of the channels of distribution. So they are given certain benefits. And the last method was displays, etc. So these were the different techniques used to sales promotion, and we have discussed those in module number 5. Now we'll talk about some of the most common sales promotion tools. Now one common tool is a case of providing samples. So samples are nothing but small amount of a product which is provided for trial. For example, perfume tester bottles. If you have gone to supermarkets and if you are going to purchase a perfume, usually they provide you with tester bottles so as to have a trial of what that perfume smells like. So perfume tester bottles, review units, demo units, test drives of cars, they are all uh, basically promotion tools, and we call this promotion tools as providing samples. So sample is basically a small amount of product for trial, which basically gives an experience to the consumer regarding that particular product. So this providing samples, this method of providing samples helps generate interest, and consumers can also verify the quality and claims made by the manufacturer. So samples helps to create or develop interest in the consumers. At the same time, consumers can verify the claims made by the manufacturer. Okay, so these samples can be delivered home, they can be sent via mail, or they can be kept at retail stores. For example, test drive cars, for them, test drive cars can be brought to a home of a potential consumer. If you can book a test drive, most of the companies will bring the test drive car to your location, okay, or any location that you ask for. Sometimes the test drives can be taken if you can visit the dealership directly. Okay, in certain cases, these test samples may be sent via mail. For example, review units of mobile phones that are yet to be launched. So you might see that these review units are sent to these reviewers who basically provide review and upload these reviews on YouTube. So that is the samples being sent via mail. Okay, so that's the very first sales promotion tool. Now another sales promotion tool is coupon. Now coupons help customers fetch savings on a future purchase, and it is generally given along with the purchase as a discount voucher, or can be sent to them via mail. Okay, this mail can be either a postal mail or an electronic mail. or even coupons are available for online purchases where you get a fixed discount. So this basically helps consumers try out new product or to stimulate sales of a product who has reached its maturity level of its product life. So coupons basically help customer fetch savings on not the current purchase but rather a future purchase. If he makes a purchase in the future using that particular coupon, the code given on that particular coupon, he can claim a particular amount as or particular percentage as discount. The next sales promotion tool is cash refund offers or rebates. Now rebates on prices of the products are nothing but reduction or refunds that are provided to the consumers on providing proof of purchase. For example, you might buy a particular product at full price. Okay, if you upload or send that particular proof of purchase, say the bill of purchase, to a particular email ID or to a particular address, they might refund certain part of the purchase later on. Okay, such a kind of a reduction in price after the purchase has been made on providing the proof of purchase is referred to as a rebate. So rebate is not a reduction in prices, but rather they are returns, cash refunds offered to the consumer on providing proof of purchase. So this will basically also uh, influence or positively influence consumers to try out new products. At the same time, companies also offers full refunds if customers are not satisfied with products as well. So that is also another kind of refund. So by providing full refunds on for non-satisfied customers or providing rebates where consumers are given a certain amount or returned or repaid a certain amount on providing the proof of purchase. Such kinds of tools can also be used for sales promotion. The next tool is price pack or reduce prices. Now price pack is basically a case where you see two items bundled together, the total value of the bundled item being lower than the total cost of the individual items added together. Okay, so two items that might be bundled together might be related items or it might be the same items. For example, if you can take the case of toothpaste, buy one get one free, that's an offer. So two items, similar items are bundled together. Similarly, it can be two related items also, okay, where you can have the toothpaste and brush bundled together. So they are not same items, but they are different items, but they are related together. So on providing these kinds of price packs which provide value to the consumer, so they are able to purchase two products whose values when individually put together is more than what is given to them or provided to them as a bundle. So that is called as a price pack. Or on another case, they can be offered at reduced prices. The same quantity of products offered at a reduced price. Say for example, 1 kilogram of a soap powder now being offered at rupees 5 less than the MRP. That's a case of a reduced price. That's also a sales promotion tool. The next tool is a premium. So premiums are goods that are offered either for free or at low cost, okay, as an incentive to make a buy. So once a consumer makes a purchase, he is offered another good along with that as free or at a lower cost. So this such a system is called as a premium. So this premium can come inside the packaging, can be come outside the packaging, or can be sent through mail. For example, it is generally used for consumer goods like soap, toothpaste, etc. So I'll give you an example of how premiums work. For example, for the same price, now they are offering the toothpaste at a larger quantity. So say you used to pay 50 rupees for 50 grams of a particular brand of toothpaste. Now they are offering 75 grams of the same toothpaste at the same price of rupees 50. So that is a premium where a good is offered either for free or a very low cost. So here the same rupees, that is the same amount rupees 50, purchases or gives the consumer an additional 25 grams of toothpaste. So it's given as free. Such a good offer either for free or at a very low cost is called as a premium. Okay, and it acts as an incentive to buy. Another example for a premium is a case where you see coffee powder being offered along with the tumbler. Okay, so this particular tumbler, it is offered at the same price as the regular coffee packet powder. So let us say you're buying a particular brand of coffee powder, 100 grams of coffee powder at say rupees 80. So on providing rupees 82, say there is another offer where for 85 rupees, okay, the same 100 grams is available, 100 grams of the coffee powder is available, but this time along with a free container. So they are offering that particular good at a very low cost of rupees 5. Okay, so the only difference in both the cases is rupees 5, and that rupees 5 basically gives an additional container which can be reused later on for other purposes as well. So such a kind of offer where goods are offered either as free or low cost, that basically acting as an initiative is referred to as a premium. Okay, now this is different from a price pack. In a price pack, two related items, they are bundled together and sold together, or two same items are bundled together and sold together at a lower price. You are not offering them either for free or at very low cost. So buy one get one free is basically a premium. It is not a price pack. Okay. So the next kind of sales promotion tool that is commonly used is contests. So say for example, if a particular person purchases a certain goods worth a certain amount, he might be entitled to participate in a certain contest, a lucky draw or something like that. So such kinds of contests basically gives the consumer a chance to win cash, trips or some other goods. These access to these contests requires proof of purchase and an entry form to be filled in by the consumer. So you might have come across these very commonly. If you go to these supermarkets, if you buy something at certain points of time, they might be running certain contests or lucky draws. So if you buy goods worth say rupees 3000, for every 1000 rupees or goods worth every 1000 rupees that you buy, you might get one entry ticket towards a particular contest. So if you totally buy goods worth 3000, you'll get 3 entry tickets, and that gives you a higher chance of winning a reward. It might be a good like a television, like some kitchen utensils, home electronics, etc. Or it might be in terms of cash or in some other kind like trips. Okay, so such kinds of activities are referred to as contests. Some of the other common sales promotion tools include consumer sweepstake. Now, it's different from contest in the fact that you are not required to make a purchase or provide a proof of purchase to be part of this particular contest. So, consumer sweepstakes, it just requires a consumer or basically a person to submit their name for a lucky draw. The names of the consumers are basically included in the list of prize winning contests, and the lots are drawn and the winners will get rewards. So these kinds of activities are referred to as consumer sweeps. See, that's another sales promotion tool. Then there are tools like buyback allowances. So allowances are granted to buyers on the basis of their previous purchase. So in other words, buyback allowances are given on new purchases based upon the quantity of goods bought previously. So based upon the amount of goods that they have bought previously, they will be given a certain amount of allowance on the next purchase. And the last tool that we'll be discussing is the patronage rewards. This is basically a loyalty program. Okay, so you might have come across these kinds of loyalty or patronage rewards that is acting as a tool in the case of airline industry. Frequent flyer programs. So people who are frequently flying using a particular airline, on a particular airline, they might be awarded certain sky mile points, and based upon the amount of points that they accumulate, they can use these points for either accessing a lounge at the airport or upgrading their seats to the next higher class. So these kinds of patronage rewards are basically rewards for customer loyalty. Another example for patronage reward might be the case of a loyalty bonus. This is very common in the case of automobile industries. Now, if you go in and purchase a new product, for example, if you are already a user of a particular brand of car, say brand X, you go in and buy a new product by exchanging your old product. So when you exchange an old product, you might be given an additional benefit over the exchange value of the product that you're trying to sell. So such kinds of loyalty bonuses are also patronage rewards. Okay, so these are some of the common sales promotion tools. So the other topics in module 6 are the recent trends in marketing, online marketing, branding, the different types of branding and its importance to consumers and the company or organization. Now these topics have already been dealt with as a part of your assignment number 2. So with this, we conclude module number 6 and we conclude the lecture series for the course ME368 Marketing Management. Thank you.